So as we've already discussed, welcome back. And it's kind of exciting to be in a standing room only crowd. I don't think I've done that in a while. So it's great to see all of you, as I said earlier, and we're thrilled that we're taking the time together. And our morning, I hope, will be focused on what is it that we all believe in as we engage in this important work of education. A little bit of time for me to share some reflections, and then a lot of time for you to share some conversation at your tables. Let me start by speaking about the privilege. The privilege of serving students, their families, and our communities. Privilege means an honor. We have this rich gift. We have this privilege that allows us to be in schools each and every day, as well as throughout this system, making a difference. I'm going to ask as we begin our morning for you to think about one student, one staff member, one colleague that you know you made a difference for. You had a sense that the work that you did and the leadership that you provide changed them. And again, how many people have the opportunity when they go to work each day to share with their friends and family what happened during that day in a way that says, we matter because we serve students. It's not about ego, it's about service. I was surprised last week to receive an email from Emmanuel. I was a vice principal 16 years ago, and Emmanuel sent me this email to TDSB and said, you probably don't remember me. We had a few conversations, but you always stopped in the hall and said hello. And I need you to know, 20 years later, that I was having a really rough time at high school. I didn't have a lot of friends. Things weren't great at home. And yet, somehow, you stopped, smiled, and said hello every day that we saw each other in the hallway. And 20 years later, I'm now a teacher in York Region. I'm happy. Life is good. And I just felt, since I saw you in the newspaper and know you're at TDSB, that I can send an email to that email address that everybody knows. First, dot, last. You know, there you go. And I sat with that for a while and said, I would never have known that. I share that story so that you can think about and share your own story about the lives we all touch. What a gift. What an honor. And I'd like to share a few comments, and I'm going to see, there we go, just a few about what I hope becomes the foundation for our work this year. I ask all of us, I invite all of us to that great place called imagination. What's possible? And then because we know it's possible, how are we going to get there? Imagining the way things can be based upon where we are that takes us so much further than where we presently are. Students learning deeply, thinking about all the ways that our students create and think and come together. Students want to be activists. They want to be change agents. They want to make their own difference. How do we make that happen? Staffs in every school that are so willing to roll up their sleeves to figure out what's going on in each and every student, in each and every classroom, and to do something together about it. Parents and communities who know that we're all on the same page. Never an us, them, even when tension is there. How do we do that? That's the imagination, built on what already exists. Perseverance. And perseverance means we will get there. We have the confidence that we will do it. We don't give up when adversity or challenges exist. But perseverance is based on celebration. It's not based upon something way out there that we could never reach. It's based upon a celebration of the things that are happening in your schools that make people really excited to come back and do more. So we celebrate all that is good. We honor the people in our communities for their contribution. And we continue to strive for what we've imagined is possible. The notion of imagination includes all students achieving, ensuring all students are healthy and well. And that means probably having some challenging conversations about who isn't able at this moment and what are we together going to do about it. And transformation. Transformation means a marked change. What will be different? The language I use often is, at the end of the school year, based upon what you know about your school, if you have been there historically, if you're new to your school, it's going to take you a little time, I'm sure, to connect with everyone to answer this question. But what is it that is the desired state on July 1st, 2017? What's the desired state? Where do you know you need to help your staff get to? Collaboratively and collectively, not in terms of any kind of one-way direction. That desired state, where are you now, and what are the steps to move forward? Transformation in your school is going to look different than your colleague principal's school. That's why the importance of leadership that understands context is so significant. But if we truly are using with our staff and our communities our imagination, going way beyond in terms of what's possible, our perseverance, that dogged confidence that we can do this, leading to that transformation, it allows that cycle of celebration to continue. I'm of the opinion we don't celebrate enough. That doesn't mean that individually you don't. I'm talking collectively. Everywhere I go in this great board, there is cause for celebration. On social media, each and every day, I see causes for celebration. We've got to scream from the rooftops what's going on for students in our schools, how we are engaging our staffs to make that so, and what we're doing with our parents and communities to be influenced and challenged and made better, because we're so much better when we're in all of this collectively. In January, when I met all of you, I think we were here at the end of the month, and I shared with you that in every single conversation that I had engaged in, members of the TDSB community shared with me many of these great things that had been happening for many years. And that was exciting for me to join a community that has all this rich, wonderful things happening. But you asked for focus. You asked for direction, but room to lead. And so I want to be absolutely clear when we dive into this document that is on each of your tables, A Vision for Learning in TDSB, and we will send a link to you so you can share this with your staffs. This is not a new direction. What we've attempted to do in 14 or so pages is pull together all the important work that has been done historically into one place that says, this is what we mean when we say leadership. This is what we mean when we say leadership that enhances a learning community. And this is what we mean when we say it's important to improve in achievement and well-being on the foundation of equity, which says we will remove the barriers and the bias that might block that achievement and well-being. So what we've tried to do is basically pull all that together for you, provide that direction, but not in a way that in any way hampers the important work you and your colleagues at school do as it relates to the notion of excellence in your context. So the vision for learning is what I call the intelligent expectations. That's the direction. The responsiveness is key. So first of all, I do want to thank all the members of our business and service departments who are here this morning to help us start this year in an amazing way. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Without our business and service departments, we would not be able to function. And yet, we also know, those of us who work at system level, and I've made this commitment before, but now this commitment is concrete, and I'm sharing it in this audience so you can help us be effective in this way. We're really taking the notion of responsiveness very, very literally and seriously. And we're going to be working on what does it mean for us to be excellent, exemplary in terms of our service. That's going to be our work over the next while. But there are some clear expectations that I've communicated to our senior team and to our service departments. And I want to share those with you now so that you can actually remind us of what we've shared. My expectation that's been clearly communicated is that when you as principals and vice principals need to call your superintendent's office, that you will hear back from the office within 24 hours. And that I ask that the superintendent contact you if he or she isn't available in 48. Now, I know that goes on already, but we want to be intentional about that. The next part of responsiveness. If there's an issue in your school that is distracting you from the important learning work that has to happen, and there's been no resolution, in 3 days, I've asked the superintendent, especially if it involves a central department, to turn to the executive superintendent so that we can problem solve on why it's still happening. 1 day, response, 2 day, connection, 3 day, if it's not happened, resolution. Now let me be clear, resolution doesn't always mean yes. I know many of you are very willing to share your responses with me, and I'm grateful to hear them. But sometimes there actually has been the engagement, and there has been the involvement, and the answer simply is it can't happen like that for these reasons. So I do need to be clear that we want to be more responsive, but we also have to be realistic. But that kind of relational connection is something that we're going to pay very close attention to. Another thing we're going to pay close attention to, because we've been talking about building a culture of trust based on positive relationships. That means we got to use the phone or actually face-to-face as often as possible, a little more than the email, if I may suggest. Because if you don't know me, and don't know my voice, if you have a relationship with people, it's different. But if you don't know me that well, no matter how hard I try, my email could sound cold, distant, aloof. We're busy. We do these things quickly. And so all I'm saying is I'm inviting not only for senior team and central offices to think about this really significant point about responsiveness, but also all of us. The Learning Center strategy, which we are embarking on, is not supposed to be some monumental new direction. It's about how we work. You've heard me say that before, and I'm saying it again. Superintendents working collaboratively, with principals and vice principals working collaboratively, with service departments and central office staff supporting the authentic learning focus in every school responsively, with a lot of opportunities to give feedback, to influence system direction. I shared with the superintendents on Monday. We need to hear from you in schools regularly, or that which the board might or the system might be communicating may not make any sense. And there's a real wisdom that comes when we are creating the dynamics between that which happens at system places and that which happens with you in schools and communities. So we're going to work very, very hard to focus our efforts in this way. Engagement of students, their voice, their influence, their ownership of the learning. What will that mean in each and every classroom, in each and every school? Our staff, together, persevering. What does that mean for your leadership and mine to create those conditions? Our parents and our communities, who without them our students will not be successful. We actually know that. And yet, if we look at the research on parent engagement, boards across the globe, not just TDSB, struggle to be pervasive in terms of how we engage. It's more than, as I'm sure you know, the important school council meetings and literacy nights and math nights, which are certainly fine. However, it's about that mutual influence from our parents who know their children probably better than we do, that couples with our wisdom and expertise as educators to assist the students no matter what they require. And our understanding engagement of our diverse communities in a way that allows us to admit when we don't know the language we should use, or we're not sure how to create those conditions. My invitation to all of us is we simply ask so that we can grow and we can learn. One of the things that I thought was important, and I shared this with the senior team and we're going to share it now, is that I have created a brief video. I know it's a static document. I know the webinars I've been trying to do with many of you is at least a little bit more dynamic, but what we decided is that it might be important because we're trying to leverage all of what's happened historically in this really important framework called Leadership, Enhanced Learning, and Improvement, that we offer to you a video that you can use in each and every school with a few reflection questions